Hey everyone, I know it's the middle of the week and I'm usually putting out a video every 2 weeks, but I thought that it was important to kind of make a separate video about my past, how I got this way, why I'm this way, and how I'm moving forward. And I kind of figured that deserved its own separate video than my weight loss videos because there's a lot to cover and thought it would be easier to just put it all in one spot. So this is going to be a lot of rambling on my part, a lot of discussion of my past, which I never really liked talking about. I still don't like talking about it, but it's important to learn from the past, accept your past, because it's your past. You're not going to get a better one. So, without further ado, I'm 21 years old now, so I was born 21 years ago to my wonderful mother and my father. I have two older siblings. I have an older brother and an older sister. Um, our father was, well, he had narcissistic personality disorder, which, if you've never heard of it, is a fun little disorder where you sort of have megalomaniac ideas. Think you think you're perfect. You think that everyone around you is inferior. Everyone around you is wrong. You can never be wrong. You don't need any help. It's everyone else that needs help. It's it's kind of a complicated disease because one of the major factors of it is that you don't and can't acknowledge that you have it because you can't possibly be wrong and you can't possibly be damaged in some way. So he had that, and he also had, I don't know if it was just a horrible mean streak or lack of empathy, but my father was very mentally abusive. Now, growing up until elementary school, and even a little after elementary school, it was my siblings and I, and he was a stay-at-home parent. So he stayed home while my mom worked, and my mom worked two jobs, at least two jobs. So she was gone from 7 in the morning until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he didn't work, so she was making all of the money. So we rarely saw her because she was gone all of the time working. So we were living with him and only him. Now, he was a perfectly fine parent until I turned about 3. And I think that was around the time where he realized that he didn't want to be a parent or be a father. And he he really kind of pitted us against each other, me and my siblings. He would say one thing about one of them to one of us and then turn around and say something else to the other one, and all of this behind the one person's back. And it sounds silly, but it was just horrible stuff, like how we were all mentally retarded and we were stupid, we were worthless. um, he told me many times that he wished I was never born, that I was a mistake, that I was an accident, that I should have been aborted because he didn't want another kid, that I was the daughter he never wanted. And this was still when I was young. This was still elementary school, junior high. So growing up, we were very isolated. I spent a lot of time in my room and by myself. And as I got a little bit older, into at the end of junior high and high school, I turned even more reclusive. Going back, when we were kids, he would be fine one minute and then he would snap the next minute, and it would be an hour-long fight over absolutely nothing. I remember many a night spent upstairs in the living room hanging out with my mother, who I rarely got to see, and or one of my siblings, and he would come upstairs and he would start screaming about something stupid. It would be something, it could be something ridiculous, like my mom would be on the phone with one of her friends talking to her about a dog or something, say that. And then he would start talking and yelling at her while she was still on the phone about, what are you talking about? Dog. What is this? We don't need another dog. We have too many dogs. Look at all these dogs. I'm the only one that cares about the dogs. Lindsay abuses the dogs. Everybody else abuses the dogs. I should just let the dogs loose. I should take them down to the ravine and shoot the dogs. Horrible stuff like that. Constantly about everything. One time I made dinner for everyone. I made a delicious pork dinner. I asked him if he wanted some because my mom made me ask him. And he said, oh, yeah, sure. And then 20 minutes later, he came upstairs. He took the plate that I made him and he threw it in the garbage can. And he said that he told me he didn't want any of my pork dinner. It's just, it sounds silly. It really does. It's very difficult to explain the level of his insanity to people that don't understand it. It was just a constant battle. You didn't know what kind of mood he was going to be in. You didn't know if you were going to be up on top of a pedestal or if you were going to be the slime of the earth. You didn't want to talk to him because you didn't know what mood he was going to be in. And even when you did or you had to talk to him, he would go off on some tangent about how worthless you were, how you were an embarrassment to him. He was not a good father. And finally, my mom, the divorce proceedings are all done. He moved out last year in May after a very long, intense struggle, which included blackmailing my mom, threatening her, um, throwing out false accusations on her for abuse, false accusations on him about my brother, about how my brother abused him, or how my mother smashed him in the head with coffee cups. And we actually had to call the police on him one time when he was fighting with my mother, and it was a really intense fight. And he refused to let the policeman remove the firearms from the home because he hunted, he had firearms, and he said it was for his own protection from us. So he didn't want the policeman to take his guns. I never felt very safe in the house growing up because he was so unstable. He had guns. He thought that we abused him. He refused to work up till the day he left. He still refuses to work. My mother pays him alimony every month. Thankfully, that's ending soon, so she won't have to pay him any more alimony. But he still refuses to work. He's currently living in a trailer on some person's land that wants to kick him out. He he had a certain charm with people that didn't know him. You would meet him for the first time and you'd think he was a great guy, but that was only because he was such a liar, such a faker. He would say something nice to a waitress or something, and he would think that the waitress thought he was God's gift to women. And then when he'd get home, he would say all sorts of nasty, disgusting things, but regardless, a big part of my past was my father and how my father mentally abused us. I A lot of it was about my weight and everybody's weight. Um, he told us a lot how we were fat and useless, how we were disgusting. We were all sitting out on the front lawn, and he came up and he said he didn't want us sitting on the front lawn because he thought we were disgusting and we were bringing down the property value of the house. Um, it was he he lost a lot of weight just to like try and prove that he could do it, and a lot of that was just to spite us. He made horrible comments about me, made horrible comments about my mother, my brother, and my sister. We were all overweight, and he would he would say anything if he knew that it would hurt you. He would say absolutely anything. He would pinpoint the one thing that he knew would hurt you the most, and he would say something horrible about it. Every time we would try and diet, why are you trying to diet? You're just gonna fail like last time. Or, why? Nobody's ever gonna love you anyway. You're still gonna be disgusting. You're still gonna be worthless. Why are you? Why are you even trying to exercise? It's not gonna do anything. Lots of stuff. Lots of wonderful, loving stuff. This was my father, who was a stay-at-home parent, like I said, and he was in the house constantly. So, needless to say, my siblings and I grew up pretty separated. My sister and I shared a room until she was 16 or 17, and my brother had his own separate room, and we were complete strangers. I thought that my sister was a whore. I didn't believe that she was a whore, but that's what my father said. He said, "Oh, I went into this house in Albany and I dragged her out of a room with tons of guys. And, oh, I saw her kissing this guy and I had to go and save her." It was always about how she was doing these horrible things and how he had to go and rescue her. And my brother, he would tell me how my brother was stupid, my brother was retarded, my brother was worthless, my brother wasn't worthy of carrying on his legacy. My brother was a shut-in in his room, just like I was. And like I said, my sister and I shared a room, and we were complete strangers. We did our own thing. I played my video games. She watched TV. She read her magazines. And that was how it was for a long time. Until he left. And that was a year ago, like I said. And then we finally started to reconnect as a family. And even then, it's incredibly difficult. After all that time, it's not that we thought those things about each other, it's that we didn't know how to interact with each other. But that's another story. Go back to my past and growing up in the world without my father, which was school. I remember the first time that somebody called me fat, and it wasn't to my face. It was in fifth grade. We were going into science class, and we were all sitting down at the desks. And one of my friends came over and said, "Lindsay, this girl called you fat." I said, "Why? Am I fat?" And she said, "No, you're fine." I'm like, "Well, why would she call me fat? Why would she say that? That doesn't seem very nice." And my friend said, "I don't know. That's what she said." So it was kind of baffling to me. Why would somebody why would somebody who didn't even know me, wasn't even really my friend, say something about me and say something that they knew was mean? It was a bit of a wake up call because I was a very kind of reclusive child. I don't know if I was outside of school, but in school I was by myself. I had my friends in elementary school. Elementary school wasn't too bad. I had my friends and I had a good time, but everybody has a good time in elementary school for the most part because kids don't really care about appearances too much. I mean, you have your group of friends and you have the boy that you're a friend with, and the girls will say you have cooties, and you do your multiplication tables and you go home and you have a good night, and that's it. Junior high school. Everybody loves junior high school. By junior loves junior high school, I mean junior high school is horrible. I hated junior high school. I was the fat, pimply girl who was reclusive and kept to herself. I had really bad acne. I mean, I still have acne, but it was horrible back then because puberty, all that fun stuff. So I had acne. I was fat. I was I I hated shopping. Hated clothes. I absolutely hated them. My mom would have to drag me to the store to buy me clothes. I wore sweatpants and a hoodie every single day that I could because I had no self worth. I didn't want to wear clothes. One, it was a pain to shop for them, and two, I didn't feel like wearing nice clothes because I didn't feel pretty anyway. My hair was a raggedy mess. I was covered in acne. People were making fun of me anyway. What's not wearing nice clothes gonna do? So junior high was just a complete mess of hormones and just torment. People are horrible, especially growing up. Young teens are awful people. But junior high school went by quick enough. Only 2 years in junior high, and then hit high school. And by this point, I was very reclusive. I was very self-contained. I didn't like to talk about myself. I didn't like to talk to people. I didn't really like to talk about anybody. I had a few friends who I felt like they were just my friend out of pity. Like I was that one person in the group that they couldn't really get rid of, so they just kind of kept them around for whatever reason. But for the most part, I liked to be by myself because by myself was where I was safe. So I went through high school wearing my usual stretchy, elastic pants, jeans, and my t-shirts with pictures and words on them, which were kind of like the awesome ones I have now, but less awesome. And I just kind of stumbled through on my own. Every single gym, when we had to do the physical fitness test, I would get a doctor's note excusing me from it because I didn't want to run in front of everybody. It was embarrassing. Nobody wants to watch the fat girl lumber around the track, and if they do, it's just to make fun of them. And make fun of me, they did, and I know they did, but I just kind of kept it to myself and ignored it. And as much as I tried to pretend it didn't hurt, it did. It always does. But I got through it very slowly. Like on my first day of sophomore year, I came home from school crying because nobody knew her in any of my classes, and I had a horrible schedule, and I felt horrible, and so I was crying in the living room, and my father was there, and he was sitting there watching TV, and I went in and I went to get my dog, and I was hugging him and crying, and my father just ignored me and turned the TV up louder over my crying. So that's another fun example of what a wonderful father he was. But school, what can you do? High school either sucks or you don't realize it sucked until later. I did okay in school. I was a really good student in elementary school. I was decent in junior high. I was still decent in high school. I was really horrible at math, but I was good at everything else. I got through my classes with A's and B's, and I did my work, and I tried to just stay out of the way. And it was very lonely because you're by yourself and you know people are making fun of you, but you don't want to do anything about it. What can you do about it? I felt worthy of ridicule because I was so overweight. I cared so little about my appearance. I cared so little about what other people thought of me that I just ignored it because that was the only way that I knew how to deal with it. But school is over now, and I didn't know what I wanted to do for school. I didn't know what I wanted to do for college. I had no idea. I didn't want to make any plans. I didn't want to spend any money. So my mom, she offered me to stay home for a year after high school, focus on my weight loss, and take care of the dogs. We had or 5 dogs at the time. We used to show Brittany's, so they needed a lot of upkeep at the time. And I said, okay, I need to lose the weight. I need to focus on it, so I'll do that. And in a year or so, I will be ready and I'll be able to move forward. So that went on for about a week or two. And my father was still at home. Like I said, he never worked. And every time I left my room, essentially, he was there. Every time I was walking on the treadmill myself or walking the dogs on the treadmill, he was there in the room, like playing with the dogs, pretending to play with the dogs. Every time I was out in the yard cleaning up or playing with the dogs or doing any sort of chore, he was on his picnic table smoking and watching me. Every time I used to have a little business where I made dog beds, and I made really awesome dog beds, by the way. So I would be doing that in the living room. He would come out, he would make me move because he wanted to watch TV and eat chips. So eventually, I just started hiding in my room. I didn't want to leave my room because it was like he was stalking me. It's like my own father was stalking me. And it was, it was like he was constantly reminding me, oh, you didn't go to college right after high school. You're a failure, just like I told you you were going to be. So that's what he thought. That's what he did. And so I hid in my room. And it was at that time that I sort of turned to the internet for social interaction because I was home all day with nobody but my father. So I started fiddling around on the internet. My brother recommended World of Warcraft to me, which, as you may know, is an MMO. It's a video game. So I started playing it. And for the first few months that I started playing it, I didn't talk to anybody. What are you? One of my cats has my other cat trapped in a sheet. Give me one moment. What are you doing? Really? This is not, what is happening? You gotta be kidding me. Really? You let him do that to you? You guys are gonna do that sort of stuff, do it when I'm not home, okay? Okay? So where was I? World of Warcraft. Yeah, I know. I started playing. Like I said, I didn't talk to anybody for the first few months. I mean, there are guilds, there's chat, there's all sorts of stuff. It's a game where you interact with people, and I didn't interact with anybody. I was afraid to talk to people. People would whisper me, I would ignore them. People would try and group with me or talk with me, I would completely ignore them. And it was like that for many, many months until a new server opened up and I decided to make a new character just for fun. So I did that, and I found myself wanting to join a guild to talk to people. And a guild is basically a group of people that group together and chat and all this stuff. So I this was actually the guild that I joined that Chris made. Chris and Angela were the GMs. And I remember it took me about an hour to find the courage to whisper him, which is messaging him, and say, hey, can I join your guild? It was absurd. I would I don't think I ever told you this, but Chris, but I kind of stalked you. Like every time I would log on, I would like look up who was on in this guild, and I would look up if they were online in this guild, and I would be like, oh my god, they're on. I'm totally gonna message them and ask if I can join. Oh no, 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 I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And this went on for a while until finally, after on one day after about an hour, I finally messaged him, and I think it was like, hey, I saw your post, can I join your guild? And he messaged me back. It's like, yeah, sure. And he invited me. I was like, oh my god, I did it. That was that was a big moment for me, as pathetic as it sounds. A lot of my past seems to sound pathetic, but what can you do? So I finally was in a group with people, and people were talking to each other, and very slowly I started talking to them too, and sort of began coming out of my shell a tiny bit, and I would post on the forums, and eventually, after a while, after like a few months, I I sort of became my persona. Like I was my online character. Nobody knew Lindsay, but everybody knew my online character. And that's how it was for a long time. Everybody knew me as this online avatar, and I was perfectly fine with it. Nobody knew that this online avatar was overweight, depressed, anxiety ridden, and that's how I lived for a long time. Eventually, I met my dear friend who's also who's also the editor of this video before he decided to move into a new igloo, um, who was Tolby, Dustin, Bazik. He has many names. He is a very mysterious man. I met him one day, and I met Brian as well, and he beat me in a duel when he wasn't wearing any equipment, and I was very embarrassed by that. So I I messaged him. I said, "Hey, we play the same class. Can you help me?" And he said, "All right, get on Vent, which is this voice chat program." And I didn't want to. I'm like, do I have to? Can't you just message me? He said, "No, get on Vent." I was paralyzed. I never spoke on Vent. I was an officer of this guild that I first joined, and I didn't speak. Nobody knew what my voice sounded like because I was too afraid to speak. I don't know if people thought that they were going to be able to tell that I was fat and socially awkward just by my voice or what, but I didn't like to talk. So, but I logged on and I got to the channel with him, and he said hi, and I said hi back. I think that was the first time that I've spoken on Vid. And he started explaining these things to me, and I started responding bit by bit, word by word. And after a little while, he started asking me more questions. And it took him a long time to get any sort of answer out of me. It was a question as simple as, "What's your name? How old are you?" Just stuff like that. I think I was convinced that everybody on the internet was out to get me. Not like stalk me, but like out to, I don't know. It's it's complicated to explain. I can't even explain it, but I wouldn't want to give any answers, but it was my father shut me down completely. He reverted me to the shell. I didn't want to share anything about my past because they would all think that I was worthless too. They would all think these horrible things about me. They would know that I was worthless. They would know that I was fat and ugly, and they wouldn't want to talk to me anymore. But after several weeks of talking to this very annoyingly persistent Canadian, I finally started breaking down and talking a little bit after bit. And I finally started talking on Vent, and very, very slowly, I started to come out of my shell. And I started being Lindsay and my online avatar. After a little while, we moved servers, and I went with them. And then we moved servers again, and I went with them. I can't remember. No, then we moved servers again, and I went with them. And finally, we came to the guild that we are in now, which is Big Crits. And that's where we've been for about a year and a half now. And it was really there that I completely blossomed and like really came out of my shell. I began, I was a raider for a little while. I was in the crew when I first started, which was like the casual raiding group. And right now, I'm just casual, and we all hang out on the voice chat program. We all have a good time together. Tolby came down, and we went to BlizzCon together, which is in California. and we met up with, I believe there were 38 of my guild members there, and it was just 3 days of crazy, nerdy chaos, and it was fantastic. Between World of Warcraft and my job, which I started last year, I've really become a completely different person. I've opened up. I'm I'm me. And working is a whole nother story. I was petrified of starting work. Like petrified. And it was my anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety from my father. That was coupled with depression. I stayed in bed most of the day. I didn't do anything that was needed of me. But after I started working, I opened up there, and now I work hard. I have friends there. I mean, on my last birthday, on my 21st birthday, my friend Kayla, who works there, gave me a birthday card that all of my coworkers had signed, and I started crying right there in the middle of the cafeteria because I'd never gotten a birthday card like that before. I'm tearing up now thinking about it. It, it it's very hard for me to accept affection. It's very hard for me to acknowledge that people actually like me. At the end of high school, all of my friends abandoned me because they decided that I was too negative. And I was negative, but that was just how I was. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So it's taken a long time for me to break out of my own shell after what happened to me growing up. You can't undo 18, 19 years of conditioning in a month. And part of it is my weight. I ate to comfort myself. I ate to deal with anxiety. I ate to deal with what he said, what people at school said, to deal with stress at school, to deal with stress at home. I ate. And I know it sounds cliched, but food was my source of comfort. So now that I have come out of my shell, now that he's gone for good, and now that I am my own person, I want to lose this weight because it's like a shell. It's like my physical shell. I had my emotional and mental shell, and I have my physical shell. I've broken the mental shell. I need to break this physical shell. It's it's not gonna be easy. I think it's gonna be harder than breaking through my mental shell. But I need to do it to move on with my life. I made a list. This is my I am losing weight because list. So these are just a few of the reasons why I am losing weight. The first one is I want to move forward with my life, and I feel like I'm being held back. I already mentioned that. I want to go to school. I want to move up in my job. I want to move on with my life. I'm 21 years old. I'm not in school right now, but I feel like my weight is holding me back. Like I said, I feel like it's the shell that I need to break through and I need to get rid of before I can move on with my life. So that's why I feel like it's vitally important to do it, because I can't move forward with my life with this hanging on to me. I need to get rid of it. Second, I want to prove Tim wrong. Tim is my father. So if you are ever in the middle of nowhere and you come across a man named Tim with horrible, disgusting teeth, then you can kick him in the balls for me. He told me that I would never amount to anything. He told me that I was ugly, that I was worthless, that I would always be fat, that he never wished I was born. I want to prove him wrong with that, with every single one. Third one, I want to feel beautiful and worthy of love and affection. Like I said before, I didn't know how to deal with people with people I didn't know how to deal with people talking to me. I certainly don't know how to deal with the opposite sex. I've never been kissed by a guy. I have never been on a date. I The closest that I've ever been to anything like that is receiving multiple fake love notes on Valentine's Day in high school, in junior high school. I want to feel, I want to do my hair and put on some makeup and feel beautiful, even without makeup and without having to do anything. I want to wake up in the morning and feel beautiful and feel worthy of someone's affections. Number 4, I want to go swimming at the public pool. Several years ago, it's probably like 6 or 8 years ago now, me, my sister, and my mom went to the public pool. We always used to go when I was growing up on the weekends when my mom could take us. The three of us went this day, and there were these two kids, probably about 10 or 11, who were swimming around us, and they were splashing in the water, diving around, saying, like, save the whales, look at the beached whales, stuff like that. Ever since then, I've never gone back to the public pool. Even after my sister screamed at them, they just swam away laughing at us. So I haven't been back there since then. I'm very self-conscious about my body. I don't like being in a bathing suit. I mean, nobody wants to see all this on a bikini. So I want to lose weight and be able to go back and have fun at the public pool again. Not to mention it's good exercise, so why not? Let's see, number 5. I want to travel. I really enjoy traveling. I my mom and I used to travel a lot for dog shows, but I want to see more. I want to see cities. I want to see natural places. I want to see the world. I want to go and I want to enjoy it. It's a beautiful world out there, and right now I'm spending it in my room, in my house, at my job, being held back by my weight. I am very excited about traveling. I like traveling. I don't mind sitting on a bus for 12 hours to go up and visit my friends in Canada. It's, Getting there is worth it to me. Let's see. I want to go to the beach and enjoy myself. This is kind of similar to the pool incident. We went to the beach, which is up here. I mean, I live in the middle of New York State. We don't have beaches. We have ponds and lakes, which have beaches. So we went to one a few years ago, and I brought my pseudo bathing suit, which was a tank top and swimming shorts like guys would wear, because I didn't want to wear a regular woman's bathing suit because I'm obese. And the lifeguard wouldn't let me go in the water because they said that I was going to get caught up and drown. It's like, really? In the still water, I'm going to drown because I'm wearing swimming shorts. Really? But we used to go to the beach when we went to visit my grandma in South Carolina, and I remember I liked the beach, except I didn't like wearing beach clothes. So it really kind of goes back to the clothes that I'm wearing. Let's see, next one is, oh, here's a big one. I want to go to amusement parks and ride roller coasters. We went to Disney World when I think it was in 11th grade in high school as part of a marching band trip. Yes, I was a marching band because I was a nerd. But anyway, it was the first time that I've ever been able to ride rides because their rides are actually designed to be able to fit larger people. We have an amusement park about an hour away, and we used to go like once or twice every summer when we were kids, and I could never ride any of the rides. Either I didn't fit on them or I was afraid to go on them because I knew that I wasn't going to fit. When I went to Disney, I actually got to ride some roller coasters and I really loved them. but I can't ride them up here because I don't fit in them. I don't fit in bumper cars. I don't fit on tilt-a-whirls. I don't fit on Ferris wheels. I can't ride any of that, and I want to. It's something you don't think about when you're skinny. You go and get on a roller coaster, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. I can't do that. I want to do that. I want to have fun with my life. Next one. I want to stop feeling self-conscious when meeting new people. I hate meeting new people. It's something that even after coming out of my shell, I dislike because I instantly feel like they're judging me. I have a paranoid streak that has gotten a lot better, but I still feel like people are talking about me, or if people aren't talking to me, then I feel like I've done something to upset them. I've done something to make them angry. They don't want to talk to me anymore. Um, it's silly, but I like when I meet new people, I feel like they instantly judge me because of my weight. Instantly. And I mean, it's something you notice. I mean, as soon as regularly as you notice anything about someone, you notice that they're fat. And it feels like people see you're fat and they instantly like, oh, they're disgusting, they're lazy, they smell, they're slovenly, they're this, they're that, all these horrible things. I don't want to be judged like that just by my appearance. Next one. I want to go horseback riding. My mom used to ride horses all the time when she was growing up. They owned horses. She had her own horses. It was fantastic, and she used to tell me how much fun it was. I've always wanted to go horseback riding, but I've never been able to. Even when I was like 8 or 9 years old, we went to this day fair and they had pony rides. And the head of the pony rides wouldn't let me ride the pony because I was too fat. When I was like 9 years old, I couldn't even ride a pony. And I feel like I wouldn't. I mean, I don't want to throw 300 pounds on the back of a horse. I mean, I understand that they can carry it, but I want to be able to enjoy myself, not feel like I'm a bouncing lump of fat trying to cling on for dear life on the back of a horse. I want to be able to enjoy myself. I want to sit in chairs without fear. I know it sounds silly, and I know it sounds cliched, but when you're fat and you go to a restaurant or you go somewhere where they have these spindly, itty bitty little chairs, you're not going to sit down in one because you don't want to risk it. I've never had a chair actually break on me. I've never seen anyone have a chair break on them, but it's something you don't want to risk. And I know it's silly. It's very silly. It's one of those things you worry about constantly when you're overweight. Skinny people don't have to worry about that. At least I don't think they do. And if they do, then you probably want to buy yourself some sturdier chairs. I want to be confident in my appearance and to wear pretty clothes. This kind of goes back to the self-confidence thing. I have a lot more self-confidence ever since my father finally got kicked out and ever since I came out to myself. But I still can't just go to the store and buy clothes. I I wear my t-shirts, I wear my jeans, which is actually a huge improvement to what I used to wear. I wear jeans and t-shirts because I'm comfortable in them. This is what I wear around the house. This is what I wear going to the store. This is what I wear when I just want to be comfortable. I don't see the point in wearing fancy clothes if you're going to snuggle into the couch and watch a movie. But I still would like to be able to get and wear nice clothes. Like, I don't want to go to my friend's baby shower wearing a t-shirt that says zombie bait on it. I want to be able to go and wear a nice outfit. But no, they don't have nice outfits for fat people. It's like they don't have workout clothes for fat people. You think it doesn't make any sense. Like, really, the people that need it the most, you don't make it for? What can you do? Next one. Here's the last one I was able to actually fit on here. I do not want to be held back by my past anymore. I think that says it all right there. I'm sick of being held back. I want to lose this weight. I want to focus on losing this weight and get it off. I want to go to school. I want to have a career. I want to travel. I want to meet people. I want to have a full, happy life. I want people to meet me and see me, not me and my weight. So this is my I am losing weight because list. I wrote another list, and this one is a little bit shorter than my other list. As you can see, this is my I'm losing weight because list, and it's only this long because I ran out of space on the paper. This is my I don't want to lose weight because list. I couldn't think of any reasons. So this is my itty bitty I don't want to lose weight because list. I can't think of a single reason why I want to keep this weight on. So I have this, and I have this, and these are going up on the wall with my calendar. I am losing weight because I have plenty of reasons. And there's my I don't want to lose weight list. And there we go. They're right near my calendar. So every single day I will see them. Every single day I will read them. And every single day I will know what I'm working for. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if it was kind of rambly and boring, but I felt like it was important to get this out. So my father completely screwed up my childhood. He completely screwed up my past. He's the reason why I ate for comfort, why I am 320 pounds at 21 years old. He's the reason why I had depression, why I had anxieties, why I still have anxieties and depression. But I'm not going to let it hold me back anymore. And that's my list. I'm going to see it every single day, and I'm going to remember exactly why I'm putting in this effort.